Whenever anyone talks about culture shocks in Italy, they talk about not having cappuccinos after 11 a.m. and not putting pineapple on your pizza. But there are a lot of culture shocks as an American that you will never know unless you live in Italy that were very challenging for me when I first moved to Italy. So today we're going to talk about it. If you're new here, my name is Jamie. I moved to Italy with my 2 dogs. I currently live half time in Italy and half the time in the US. I'm sharing all of the things that I have learned in purchasing a home in Italy, moving to Italy, applying for a visa, bringing my dogs over there, and just daily life in general. If you like content like that, make sure you subscribe and interact with the video. It will let the algorithm know that you're interested in content like this. Let's get into it. So the first one is trash in Italy is like a full-time job. And by trash, I mean your trash in your home. In the US, we have trash day once a week. The trash truck comes, they pick up your barrel, they empty it, and they leave the barrel. That's how we do things. In Italy, that's not how this is done. Italy is one of the most environmentally conscious countries. Their goal is to have a zero carbon footprint, so they're very conscientious about recycling and trash collection. The trash is collected every day of the week except Sundays, and every day they pick up a different category of trash. So you have your organic trash. That's things like orange peels, coffee grinds, eggshells, things that are biodegradable. That is picked up 3 days a week because nobody wants a stinky organic trash in their house. In my town, it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Organico. Next, you have carta, and that includes cardboard, paper, boxes broken down, and cartons and things of that nature. For me in my town, that's collected on Tuesdays. Every single town is going to have a different trash schedule, so you have to check with your comune what your trash schedule is. I'm just sharing what mine is. And then next you have metal and aluminum. Now, metal and aluminum is only taken once or maybe twice a month. I don't think they use a lot of metal and aluminum, so they don't need to pick it up as frequently. So you have to check, like I think mine is like the last Thursday of the month. Then we have glass, and that's another one that's only collected once a month, I think. And then plastic. Plastic is a big one. Then you have unrecyclables, and that's things like styrofoam, things that just don't fit in any of the other categories. For me, that's on Saturday. How long did it take me to figure all of this out, you ask? It took a minute. It took a minute. And do I have 6 trash cans in my kitchen? Yes, I do. The thing is that the trash cans are smaller. You have like those bathroom size trash cans. So I have 2 containers that are attached with 3 compartments in them. I have 2 of them side by side, so I have 6 containers. And because you're spreading your trash over 6 containers, you don't need one big kitchen barrel because everything is divided up, if that makes sense. So they're little tiny little barrels, but you have to divide your trash. I will say when I came back to the US, it felt very unnatural to throw everything in one bin for like a while. That felt very uncomfortable for me. And when I go back to Italy, I have to get used to separating it all over again. So you have to kind of switch mindsets, but it takes a minute. The second thing is that Amazon will not leave a package on your doorstep. They don't do that. They would rather give your package to a neighbor in hand that you may or may not know than to leave the package on your doorstep. I am not sure why this is the way that they do things, but if you are not home physically to receive your Amazon package, they'll either give it to a neighbor or they will leave you a slip and tell you that they're going to come back tomorrow. It is mind-blowing to me that they expect you to be sitting around your house waiting for your delivery, but that is how they do it. They will not leave your package at your door. The third culture shock for me is that you need to go to the grocery store every day or every other day. Food is fresher in Italy, so you're not going to go do a Costco run. I think Italians would go to Costco and be so utterly confused because everything is fresh, so they'll shop literally for the meals of that day each day, or they'll do like an every other day shop. The fridges are half the size of the fridges we have here in the US because they just don't need them to be that big because they're not holding on to foods for long period of times. There's less preservatives, there's less just processed foods, so things go bad quicker. So you just need to shop for what you can eat in a day or two and then go back to the store. So I am going to the store just about every day. Culture shock number 4 is something you know about, but you don't truly understand it until you live it, and that is siesta. Siesta sounds cute and all, having lunch and taking a nap, but when you are a functioning, working person, siesta is not cute, okay? Because where I live, it lasts from 1 to 4:30. Now, I live in the deep south, so it's longer and a little bit more drawn out. If you go up north or if you're in a major city, it's not going to be that long. It might be an hour or two. For me, it's the whole middle of the day. And so if you do things in the middle of the day, you need to run any kind of errand, book any kind of appointment, get any kind of thing done, you have until 1 or after 4:30. In that middle of the day, you're not getting anything done. Nothing. You can't go shopping at a store, like nothing. There's nothing. Everything closes. I don't know how they get anything done. I love Italy, but that is one thing that I don't know if I will ever acclimate to, because I'm an American. I work in the US. My job is connected to the US. Now, it's what we love about Italy is their ability to be in the present and to love life, and I'm trying to embrace it, but it's like going 90 miles an hour and hitting a brick wall because it's just dead smack in the middle of the day. So me having to switch over my mindset into that rhythm, it's very challenging, and I think any American moving to Italy that works still is going to, find that a little bit of a challenge. It's a little difficult. Not impossible, but it takes a minute to get used to. And the last culture shock that I think you will find is that when you move to Italy and you do research, you will hear people say, in Italy, things are done like this. And what you come to learn, like you think you want to have an understanding about Italians and life in Italy by, doing the research. But what you will find is that the person talking about how things are done in Italy is talking from a perspective of wherever they are. For example, I live in Puglia, so the way things are done in Puglia is different than someone maybe talking about their life in Tuscany. Things are going to be a lot different there. I saw a video of a girl in Rome talking about going into to a massage, and how, she was comparing it to massages in the US where you're under a sheet, they lift the sheet up, you roll around under the sheet, they give you your privacy, they're not looking at you, your privacy is respected. And she was saying that she went into a massage in Rome and it wasn't like that at all. Like there was no sheet, she just was like boobs out and getting her massage. Now, I have a massage therapist that I use in Puglia, and it's not that way. It's very much like we do it in the US, under the sheet, privacy is respected. So are massages given in Italy with no sheet? No. But they may be in Rome. That might be part of the Roman way. When you are moving and you think that things are a blanket way, you're going to find that it's not that way. Every region has their own customs and cultures. Every region has their own food. Every region has their own way of doing things. It's kind of like, if you were talking about, Americans, all Americans eat grits and listen to country music. Immediately you're going to go, no, that's the southern part of the US. They do that. The northern part of the US, we don't really do that. So it's kind of similar in that way where there's a lot of different things about Italy, and I see content and videos being made about in Italy, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, in Milan, in Puglia, in, Rome. And where the culture shock comes in, I think it's like you're going over there with a set of ideas that you think Italy is going to be, and then you find out, okay, that's not necessarily true for where I choose to live. And you might be influenced by those things when you choose a place to move to as well. If you don't like a 4-hour midday siesta, you might not want to move to Puglia. This is not to criticize Italy. This is just culture shocks and cultural differences that happen when you move to a new country. Italians deal with culture shocks like Costco, for example, would be a culture shock for an Italian going to the US because they just don't do things that way. So I hope you learned something, and let me know what culture shocks you've experienced or if you've heard of any of the ones that I mentioned, and let me know what kinds of topics you would like me to tackle on this channel pertaining to my life in Italy. Do you guys want to see the behind the scenes, what I'm getting up to, vlogs and stuff? Let me know. And if you're interested in buying a house in Italy or moving to Italy, I do have some ebooks. You can check those out in the description box if you're interested in learning more, or resource guides, you know, banks and realtors and lawyers and things like that. I do have an ebook for that as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.